The desert was never meant to be crossed at night. Every guidebook, every local elder, every traveler who had ever seen the endless waves of golden sand warned against it. But that didn't matter to us. We thought we were smarter, braver, maybe just luckier. 4 of us, Daniel, Aria, Joseph, and me, were driving across the barren stretch, hoping to reach the nearest city before dawn. The sandstorm came out of nowhere. One moment, the road stretched flat and empty under a silver moon, and the next the wind roared, howling like a living beast, hurling sand against our windshield until the glass rattled. Visibility dropped to nothing. Joseph, who was driving, swore under his breath as the headlights lit nothing but a spinning wall of dust. "Keep going straight," Daniel muttered from the back seat, his voice tense. "There is no straight in a storm like this," Joseph snapped. "We could be spinning circles and not even know it." We argued, panicked, and then the engine sputtered. Sand clogged the filters. The car jerked once and died, swallowed by silence except for the raging wind. We sat there, listening to our own breaths, realizing how far away from the world we were. And then Aria said the words that changed everything. "Look," she whispered, pointing through the shifting sand. Through the storm, faint lights glimmered, lanterns perhaps, or windows glowing dimly. Shapes of rooftops, walls, a tower, an entire village, standing where no map claimed anything existed. We stared, a place to rest, to get help, a miracle. At least, that's what we thought. Dragging our bags, shielding our faces, we stumbled toward the lights. The storm seemed to ease as we neared, as though the village itself pushed the desert back. The first building we reached was a crumbling stone archway, with words carved in a script none of us recognized. Past it, narrow streets wound between mud brick houses. And people, yes, people, walked those streets. Children playing in silence, women carrying baskets, men leaning in doorways. They turned to watch us as we entered, but no one spoke. Their eyes followed us, dark and unreadable. "Hello," Joseph called. We're travelers. Our car broke down. Could we stay the night?" At last, an old man stepped forward. His beard was long, his back bent, his clothes the same color as the sand. He smiled, though his lips never quite reached his eyes. "You are welcome," he said softly. "Come, rest. The desert is cruel to those who wander." Grateful, we followed him deeper into the village. The streets twisted like a maze, every corner leading to more identical houses. Yet the air was strangely cool, untouched by the storm raging beyond the walls. The old man led us into a guest house. Inside, lamps flickered with steady flames, though there was no oil, no smoke. The furniture was simple but inviting. Wooden beds, woven rugs, bowls of dates and bread set neatly on a table. "You may rest here," the man said. "Tomorrow the storm will pass." We thanked him, though unease lingered. The villagers outside still watched, silent, as though waiting. That night, as we tried to sleep, I heard something, a sound beneath the hush of the desert, like whispering carried on the wind. At first I thought it was only the storm, but then I realized the whispers were words, though in a language I could not understand. They rose and fell in rhythm, almost like chanting. I sat up, heart pounding. Across the room, Aria was awake too. Her eyes were wide in the dim light. "You hear it too?" she whispered. I nodded. The whispers grew louder, then stopped all at once. Silence pressed down on us, heavier than the storm. We said nothing more, and eventually exhaustion dragged us into uneasy dreams. Morning came with a sky as clear as glass. The desert stretched golden and endless, calm as if no storm had ever touched it. Relieved, we packed quickly, eager to return to our car. But when we stepped outside, the streets were not the same. The path we had walked the night before was gone. Houses stood in new positions. Alleys turned where they hadn't before. It was as if the village had rearranged itself overnight. "That's impossible," Daniel murmured, spinning in place. "We came from that way. I'm sure of it." But when we followed the path, it led only deeper into the village. The old man appeared again, smiling that same hollow smile. "Leaving so soon?" he asked gently. "The desert is wide, dangerous. Stay another night. Rest." "No," Joseph said firmly. "We just need the road back. Can you point us?" The old man tilted his head. "The road is always there, but only when the village sleeps." We didn't understand his meaning, and unease gnawed at our stomachs. Still, we tried to find our way out. Hours passed as we wandered the shifting streets. Wherever we turned, the same houses repeated, the same doorways, the same children watching with blank faces. The sun beat down, but the shadows never moved, as though time itself refused to pass. Finally, exhausted, we stumbled back to the guest house. The villagers were waiting. Dozens of them stood silently in the square, staring. Not a single breath of wind moved among them. That night, the whispers returned, louder, clearer. This time, I almost understood them. Not the words themselves, but the intent. They were calling to us, drawing us in. I dreamed of sand covering my face, filling my lungs, pulling me down into the earth, while voices chanted above. When I woke, my mouth tasted of dust. The third day came, but again, the village would not let us leave. And then it happened. Arya disappeared. We woke to find her bed empty, her bag still there, her shoes by the door. No sign she had ever left the room. We searched, shouted her name, begged the villagers for help, but they only watched in silence. Their eyes were not cruel, just hollow, as if they knew something we didn't. By nightfall, Joseph was gone too. No scream, no struggle, just gone. Daniel and I sat in the dark, clutching our bags, whispering prayers. The whispers outside rose into a steady chant, echoing against the walls. I pressed my hands over my ears, but it was inside my head, vibrating in my skull. That was when I realized the truth. The village wasn't real, not in the way we thought. It was a mirage given life, a memory of a place swallowed by the desert. Long ago, every night the sandstorm came to claim it, burying it beneath the dunes. And every morning it rose again, rebuilt from the dust, waiting for new travelers. Those who entered became part of it. Their faces joined the silent crowd. Their voices joined the whispers. That was the price of shelter. I don't remember when Daniel vanished. Perhaps while I was thinking, or perhaps I only dreamed him in the first place. All I know is that now I walk these streets alone. The villagers nod when they pass me. Sometimes I glimpse Arya's face among them, or Joseph's, but they do not recognize me. And at night, when the storm returns, I chant with the rest. The village disappears, buried in sand, and in the morning, it rises again, waiting for the next lost traveler to stumble into its curse. The carnival came without warning. No posters, no announcements, No trucks rolling in days before. One morning, the empty field at the edge of town simply wasn't empty anymore. Colorful tents stretched high against the gray sky, flags snapping in the wind, the faint smell of fried sugar and smoke drifting through the streets. Children whispered about it in school. Adults shook their heads and wondered how something so large could appear overnight. By evening, the entire town had gathered at the gates, curiosity outweighing caution. I went with 3 friends, Maya, Luke, and Oliver. We weren't looking for cheap thrills, but there was something magnetic about the place. Music played from nowhere, cheerful but slightly off-key. Lights blinked in colors that seemed too sharp for the eyes. Inside, the carnival felt endless. Rides twisted in impossible angles. Game stalls stretched further than the field should allow. But the strangest attraction was tucked at the far end. A crooked building painted black and silver, with a single sign above the door, the House of Mirrors. We hesitated at the entrance. Unlike the other rides, no laughter or chatter spilled from within. No line of children waited eagerly outside. The door stood half open, a faint light flickering inside. "Looks lame," Luke muttered, though his voice wasn't steady. "Let's just check it out," Maya said. "It's only mirrors." So we stepped inside. At first, it was exactly what we expected. Narrow halls lined with tall glass, our reflections bouncing endlessly, stretching and shrinking with the curve of the glass. We laughed at our warped shapes, at Luke's head stretched tall, at Oliver's body crushed short. But deeper in, the mirrors grew clearer, too clear. They no longer distorted us. Instead, they showed perfect reflections, except the reflections did not always move when we did. I noticed it first when I raised my hand. My reflection hesitated, then slowly copied the motion a second later, smiling faintly even though my own face was serious. "Did you see that?" I whispered. "See what?" Maya asked, but then she gasped. Her reflection tilted its head when she hadn't moved at all. Its lips parted in a wide grin, though Maya's face was pale with fear. "Okay, that's not funny," she said, backing away. The air grew heavy. The music from outside no longer reached us. It was silent, except for the faint creak of glass settling. Or perhaps breathing. We tried to leave, but every corner led deeper. The mirrors lined every wall, every turn. Soon, we couldn't tell which way we had come. And then, Oliver shouted. His reflection wasn't alone. Behind his mirrored self stood another figure, blurry at first, then sharpening into a perfect copy of him. Except this copy leaned closer to the glass, eyes dark, smile too wide. We stumbled back, and suddenly, all the mirrors filled. Each of our reflections multiplied, crowding behind the glass like 1,000 versions of us, pressed against a window, all watching, all grinning. "Let's go now," Luke shouted, his voice breaking. We ran, but the halls twisted, doubled back, led only to more mirrors. The reflections followed, but slower, deliberate, as if savoring our panic. Then one of them moved faster. I swear it, my own reflection slammed its hand against the glass from inside, though I hadn't moved at all. A crack split across the mirror like lightning. From the other side, my reflection leaned forward, pressing its face against the glass until the surface rippled like water. I staggered back. The others screamed. All around us, the mirrors shuddered, rippling like thin ice. Our reflections pushed closer, closer, their smiles stretched too wide, their eyes burning with something not human. We turned a corner, and suddenly the exit was there. The door stood open, carnival lights spilling inside. We bolted through, gasping, collapsing into the night air. But when I looked back, the crooked building was gone. Only empty grass stretched where it had stood, as though it had never been there. We never spoke of it again, but sometimes, in the reflection of a shop window or the dark glass of a computer screen, I see it, just for a second, a version of myself smiling when I am not, watching, waiting. One day, I think the glass will crack again, and this time, the reflection will not stay behind. They warned us not to camp in the northern woods. The locals never explained why exactly, just that it was unwise after dark. Their voices grew low when they said it, eyes darting toward the tree line as though something might be listening. But we didn't believe in superstitions. We were hikers, not children. We had crossed mountains, waded rivers, and spent nights in harsher places than this. A forest couldn't frighten us. There were 6 of us that night: Anna, Jack, Sophia, Liam, Ben, and me. The trail had taken longer than expected, and by the time the sky began to darken, we realized we wouldn't make it to the nearest lodge before nightfall. So we set up camp in a small clearing, tall pines surrounding us like silent guardians. The air was calm, the fire crackled, and the first stars began to appear. We laughed, cooked, and told stories, mocking the villagers' warnings. Then, just past midnight, we heard it. At first I thought it was the wind, a low vibration through the branches. But the air was still, the flames steady, yet the sound deepened. A long, humming tone that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "What is that?" Sophia whispered, clutching her blanket tighter. "Wind," Jack said quickly, though his voice shook. "Just wind in the trees." But it wasn't wind. It was too steady, too deliberate. A sound that seemed to rise from the ground itself, traveling up through our bones, into our chests. My heartbeat began to sync with it. Thump, hum, thump, hum, as though the forest was breathing with me. Let's not panic," Anna said, though her face had gone pale. "Maybe it's water underground or animals." But no animal I knew hummed like that. The noise grew louder, layers weaving together, like hundreds of voices blending into one deep vibration. The trees shivered, not from breeze, but from resonance. Needles rained softly down. Ben stood abruptly. "I'm going to check it out." We tried to stop him, but he grabbed a flashlight and walked to the edge of the clearing. The beam of light cut through the darkness, catching bark and branches, but nothing else. He stepped deeper, the trees swallowing him, the hum pulsing louder as if welcoming him. "Ben," I called. No answer, only the hum. Minutes passed. Then his flashlight flickered in the distance. For a moment, I saw him standing between 2 trunks, perfectly still, staring at something unseen. His head tilted slightly, his body swayed to the rhythm of the sound. "Ben!" Anna shouted. He turned toward us, but his face was blank, his eyes unfocused. Slowly, deliberately, he raised a hand and pressed it against the bark of the tree beside him. The moment he touched it, the hum surged so loud my teeth rattled. The flashlight fell, rolling in the dirt, and Ben was gone. Just gone. We froze in terror. None of us moved. None of us breathed. His light still glowed weakly on the forest floor. But where Ben had stood, there was nothing but bark and shadow. "We need to leave," Liam whispered. "Now." We grabbed our bags, stomping out the fire, fumbling in panic. but the paths twisted strangely. The way we had come was gone. Every direction led only deeper into trees, and the hum followed. It pulsed around us, vibrating in our bones. My vision blurred, my legs grew heavy. I felt the rhythm inside my chest, inside my skull, as though my very thoughts were being tuned to the forest's song. Then Sophia screamed. We turned and saw her half vanished into a trunk. Her body was pressed against the bark as though the tree was swallowing her. Her arms thrashed, her eyes wild. But the more she fought, the deeper she sank. The hum crescendoed, drowning her voice, until only her face remained, mouth open in a silent cry. Before even that was gone, Jack bolted. He ran blindly, crashing through underbrush, shouting her name. Anna chased after him, tears streaming. Liam and I staggered behind, too terrified to think. But the forest didn't let us go. The trees blurred together, twisting in ways that made no sense. Branches arched overhead like ribs. Roots writhed underfoot like veins. And always, the hum, louder and louder, filling us until it was the only sound left in the world. We found Jack on his knees, staring at a tree. His reflection, yes, reflection, stared back from the bark, as if the wood had grown a mirror. The face in the bark smiled, though Jack's real mouth trembled. Slowly, the reflection lifted its hand and pressed it to the surface. Jack's own hand rose against his will, matching the movement. When flesh touched bark, the hum roared so violently, I thought my head would split. His body stiffened, then melted into the trunk, like wax into flame. Anna screamed and clawed at him, but the tree swallowed her too. I don't remember running, but suddenly it was just Liam and me, stumbling through endless darkness. His hand clutched mine so tightly my bones ached. We can't stop, he gasped. If we stop, it will take us. But the hum was inside us now. Every step felt heavier, slower, as though the forest was pulling us down. Liam's grip loosened. I looked back. He was gone. The trees around me vibrated, their bark rippling as though something moved beneath the surface. Faces appeared faintly in the trunks. Ben's, Sophia's, Jack's, Anna's, Liam's, all with eyes closed, humming in unison. And then, for the first time, I understood the song. It wasn't just humming. It was a call, a welcome, a demand to join. I don't remember lying down, but when I opened my eyes, dawn was breaking. The clearing was empty. My friends were gone. No bags, no fire, no footprints. Just trees, silent and still. The villagers found me wandering at the edge of town hours later, dazed, trembling, unable to speak. They didn't ask questions. They only looked at the dirt on my clothes, the terror in my eyes, and they knew. The forest doesn't let go. One of them whispered, not completely. And sometimes, when the night is very quiet, I still hear it, that deep, steady hum, and my heart answers back.